There have been reports of abuse and neglect within the Delaware prison system. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Local Edition. With me this hour is Delaware State Representative Tom Kovach. Thanks so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jill.
Talk to us a little bit about the catalyst behind some of the ideas and investigations that you've actually called for. This started with a newspaper article or a series of articles a few years ago, but it's really grown into an investigation of some of the abuses, both financial and physical, within the prison system.
That's right, Jill. It all started a couple years ago. There was an expose of maltreatments in our prison system. The feds came in. There was a memorandum of understanding reached with the state, goals that had to be met. A series of independent reports every year tracking the progress of what the state was doing. While the state has made dramatic improvements, it's clear from some of these recent allegations that we could really utilize a truly independent evaluation rather than leaving the Department of Corrections to investigate the Department of Corrections.
What are some of these allegations, including allegations of physical abuse and medical neglect?
Well, first of all, let me say, as far as the physical abuse, that is a constant complaint nationwide in our prison system, and I want to applaud the correction officers for the jobs that they do in our state. And I think that a independent investigation can really go a long way in clearing the reputation of these correctional officers. Again, having an independent viewpoint coming in and correcting them. But more than that, it's denial of basic medical coverage, and that's a fundamental human rights issue. But it's also something that the state is paying an incredible amount of money for, $40 million for 6,900 inmates, and we're paying that for substandard medical care.
So when we talk about this, what you're calling substandard medical care, is the issue, one, that these inmates are not receiving the care that is intended for them, and two, that the state is already putting out this money and then that it's not going into the direct purposes of care?
In these incredibly tough financial times that the state is facing, we're cutting programs, we're cutting back. We are literally wasting a good chunk of that $40 million in ineffective medical care. We're paying for something, we aren't receiving it. An inmate passed away of pancreatitis, which can be treated by a simple antibiotic. The inmate was reduced to a wheelchair before they eventually succumbed to pancreatitis. Again, basic medical care, medical treatment, and the drugs and medicines needed aren't being given, and it's kind of a conflict of interest in the way we have the system set up for this medical provider.
So when we talk about this medical provider, how is that system set up? You mentioned a conflict of interest that you see within the Department of Corrections itself, but what about for the medical provider? For the medical provider, we currently have one medical provider has a contract for the entire medical care for the prison system. They are responsible for the treatment, they're responsible for the diagnosis, they're responsible for the drug and medicine distribution. If you don't give the drugs, if you don't prescribe the drugs, you can save an awful lot of money as that provider, but yet you're denying the medical care that you're paying for. So if you can break up the system, and the state has just announced a little over a few weeks ago that the Department of Corrections will break up that medical care provider contract and look into 3 distinct categories so we can be a little more efficient and eliminate some of these conflicts of interest. But we need to go further. We can even look into utilizing underutilized local hospitals to provide some of this treatment as well. In addition to that, and we just have a short time left, what are some of the other steps that you think need to be taken and some of the other issues that need to be addressed in order to streamline not just the medical process, but the idea of actually investigating these allegations?
Well, that's right. We have a system set up here in Delaware. Their Attorney General's office is charged with the defending of anybody accused of maltreatment. But the Attorney General's office is also responsible for investigation. If we have a truly independent investigation, not by the Department of Corrections, not by the Attorney General's office, we can get to the root of the problem, we can implement some controls and measures taken in other states that have been effective.
Okay, and how do we get to that point? Just a few seconds left. Would that be a creation of a new department or a new position?
No, what we need is we need to take action. We need to take steps that have been taken to break up the medical contracts, and we need to implement these measures that have been studied for years.
All right, thank you so much. We've been talking with Delaware State Representative Tom Kovach. I'm Jill Horner.